in this space, for me, it healed a bunch of fucking dopey wounds that are very first world wounds, believe me. But still, I appreciate being in the room. Before we get going on this, first thanks to Colin, thanks to TIFF for programming the flick. I was here 20 years ago with Clerks, so this is a really nice kind of reboot to the career. So
programming it as in the audience and heard about this buzz about this film Clerks, and when saw it, it was like, I think in the Uptown 2 was the cinema that we saw it in, and out comes this guy and is like, all right, you guys are gonna see my film, I'm really nervous, I hope you like it. I could be back in my hotel room trying to find reruns of Degrassi Junior High.
That was before streaming, kids. Like, I can find it very easily, but back then I was just like, that was my first time back to Canada since I came here to go to film school. I went to film school in Vancouver, and this love affair with Canada goes back to when I was 5. My parents took me and my brother and my sister to Niagara Falls, and they made a big deal of it. They're like, we're going to another country. And I was like, what's that mean? They're like, a whole different place where, you know, they speak different and everything. I said, really? And we're going in a car? And that captured my imagination, because most other countries that I knew of were across the sea and shit, so I was like, we have one of those James Bond sub cars, man. But it turns out we just drove up north for a while, and then we went to Niagara Falls, and not the American side, the Canadian side. And I remember it very specifically because my parents made a big deal about it. You didn't need a passport to cross the border or anything like that. But as we went through the booth, and they were like, you know, back then it was very lenient. So they're like, what are you doing here? It's like, we're taking the kids to Canada. Like, okay, come in. You know, so we got across the border, and my parents were like, we're in another country now. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, this is not America anymore. I was like, really? But everything looks American. They're like, no. They're like, wait till you talk to the people. And we got out, and we spoke to people, and they spoke American, you know? We're like, it was great. So it was like being somewhere exotic while being somewhere very familiar at the same time. And everything about it captured the imagination of a 5-year-old without the internet. Like now, if you took a 5-year-old to Canada, they'd be like, are you kidding me? I watched a guy fuck a horse online. Like, Canada's nice, but this is fucking weird. So, but for me, without the internet, like coming to Canada, everything was like just magical enough to be different, to capture my imagination. Like the police wore red and they were on horses. You know, like, oh my God, our police don't dress like this. They're very well dressed and they're polite and shit like that. Our cops not so polite. That captured my imagination. The fact that it was Niagara Falls was a big deal too, because the legend of Niagara Falls, when I was a kid, I don't know if they sell this as much, but like, again, pre-internet, pre-even cable television, people used to go over Niagara Falls in barrels, like as daredevils. So you could read about it and they're like, these motherfuckers died going over the falls. As a 5-year-old kid, you're looking at pictures of old-timey people smiling right before gruesome death and shit. So that really like did it for me. I'm like, this is a nation of daredevils, man. Like everyone up here is Evel Knievel. Like, and they're just willing to throw their lives over the water just to see if they'll survive. So I left, and I remember I still have this little crayon kit that my parents bought me. Dopey souvenir fucking crayon kit. It says Canada, has the maple leaf on it. And that was like magical to me. Like some shit in your life are totems and whatnot. And that thing was, I've had it with me. It's still in my fucking office. So my love affair began when I was 5 years old in this country. I came back up to go to film school here because I loved Degrassi and I loved SCTV and Bob and Doug. And I was like, to get educated, I might as well go fucking someplace where I like the people. And so it was to Vancouver. Truthfully, I thought I was going to Vermont, America. I don't know my geography very well. But in Vancouver was totally cool, the West Coast vibe. So I've long been in love with the fucking country, as you guys, most of you here would probably already know. And you're going to see it tonight, writ large, all over the screen. The reason like I'm so happy lately, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm doing 10 movies this week, you know, is because I got to finally do something, like, you know, nobody will let you do anything you want to do, right? You're kind of the master of your own destiny. And in the beginning, that's how I got here, by being the guy that was like, I want to make a movie about me and my friends. Because nobody ever would make a movie about me and my friends. Because fuck me and my friends. We're not that interesting, right? I'm like, why won't anyone make a movie about me and my friends? Guys that sit around talking about pussy and Star Wars and shit like that. And then one day I realized, like, Kevin, nobody's going to make a movie about you and your fucking friends. Nobody gives a shit about you and your friends. You want to see a movie about you and your friends? Make it. And that's what Clerks was. Changed my fucking life. So 20 years later, I'm sitting around on a podcast with my friend Scott Mosier. And we're talking about this dopey story we read online about a guy who's trying to give out a room for rent as long as you dress up like a walrus for it. And boy, we went to town on it, just making fun of that. And then I was going, like, this sounds like a horror movie. And we started building this dope little horror movie, and I'm laughing my fucking fool head off. I'm baked. He's having a great time. And somewhere along the way, it stops being fun for me and starts being fucking serious. You can hear it in my voice where I'm like, why won't someone make this movie? Like, I want to see the movie where a guy turns another guy into a fucking walrus. Is that too much to ask? And I'm sitting there, you know, trying to talk, like throwing out the ideas, and then I realized, you can kind of hear it in the podcast. I have a little mind snap, and it's the same moment, man, kind of rebooted me. Brought me right back to that same moment before I was finally like, well, maybe I'll become a filmmaker. I was like, Kevin, nobody is ever going to make a fucking movie where one guy turns another guy into a walrus. It's not going to happen. It's a stoner idea, and it won't go any further than this unless you do it. And so, you know, just like the Lorax, I was like, unless. Well, I could fucking, I want to be sitting in my grave or on the way to the grave and be like, I should have made the walrus movie. I want to be able to like hit the grave and be like, oh, fuck them all, I made the walrus movie. So I was like, let's give it a shot. And oddly enough, I had that same feeling where I was just like, nobody's going to make it. If you want to see it, make it. And so we're here tonight because of that feeling. But in the in-between step is important, because if you listen to the podcast, it's set in England and shit like that. The story originally was set in England. It became Canada because I was like, what do I want to do? What would make me go make a movie? I was out. I was retired. I didn't want to do it. I love podcasting, live shows and shit like that, working with TV now. I didn't want to make movies anymore because I'd gotten into a place where I could only do what they said I could do. At least that's what I thought. And they are not bad. I'm not saying they, the evil they. But I got to a place where I priced myself out of being interesting. I started getting paid to be a filmmaker and stopped being a filmmaker because they just started paying me the rates. And when they start paying me that money, motherfuckers, they expect results. And I'm not a results guy at all. I'm an idea man, I back away and watch it crumble. But that's, you know, that's an HMT. So, you know, at that point, I was kind of out of the interesting movie business because, you know, it was too much money. I was getting paid too much money to make interesting films. So this is a harkening back to that. Like, this movie's under $3 million to make. And good folks at Demarest put up that cash to make it. David Greathouse, my producer, amazing man. Sam Engelbart was the guy who wrote the check just because he was like, I dare you to make this movie. And I said, I will and shit. And doing that, to get back to that point, I was like, what would make me want to go to a movie set? One of the things was to work with Michael Parks again, who I've worked with on Red State. So but the other thing was like, what would I like to do in a movie? What's the kind of shit, like, I don't care anymore. I don't want to do this, so what would make you want to do this? So I got to a place where I was like, we're just going to talk about the shit that makes me happy, makes me laugh. And one of the things that I love most in this world is to sit down with Scott Mosier on Smodcast and talk about Canada for 2 hours. So as I was sitting there going, how do I fucking, where do I set this movie? I was like, it should be Canada. It has to be fucking Canada. I have all this useless fucking knowledge about Canadian history based on having written Hit Somebody in my hockey miniseries, and I had stuff that I couldn't fit into it, so I was like, maybe I could set it there, and here we are tonight, man. So I'm gonna stay and watch it. Back in the day, man, like, I've already run the movie, and I've seen the movie so many fucking times by this point, I edit and shit, so I'm way familiar. I usually go outside, back in the day, smoke cigarettes. Presently, I'd probably go smoke a joint. But I love this movie so much, and I can't wait to watch it with Canadians. Like, for the rest of my life, I'll be able to watch it with Americans, but the movie was made for you, motherfuckers.